Welcome to the Made in the Breakfast program. Good morning, Sierra Leone, on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation for this week. I am Victor Jones.
And I am Sonny Deval. Good morning, all the people of Sierra Leone.
Our quote from the day is from a Welsh American journalist, Henry Stanley. It says, "What lies behind, what lies before, the tiny matters compared to what lies within us."
So coming up in the program, Ministry of Health and Sanitation signed MOU with the Anti-Corruption Commission, and the Sierra Leone Road Authority updates media practitioners on the major road projects nationwide, and National Water Resources Management agencies and stakeholders conclude validation of Water Resources Management Coordination Framework. Well, these issues are like the next 1 hour. If you want to be part of the program, please send your text message to number 077-230-440, or you can find us on Facebook at SLBC Live Channel 31. As participation is very, very important. But before we go into these topics of discussion this morning, let's go for our COVID preventive message. We'll be right back.
You see where them people here wear the mask then fine? Well, now so you say for wear your mask. Cover your nose and mouth all time where you dey near other person.
Just joining us, this is Good Morning Sierra Leone. As we kick off with our first topic of discussion this morning, the Ministry of Health and Sanitation has signed a memorandum of understanding with the Anti-Corruption Commission geared towards addressing three fundamental aspects: prevention and elimination of fraud, waste, and abuse. The partnership with the ACC will help strengthen information sharing, support, and assistance in building integrity and visibility. Well, according to the Commission of the Anti-Corruption, the Ministry of Health and Sanitation is increasingly becoming the second corrupt government institution after the Sierra Leone Police. Well, to further the discussion, we have in the studio the Ministry of Health and Sanitation. Minister, sorry. Good morning, Mr. Austin David. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
So I believe a memorandum was signed between the Ministry of Health and Sanitation and that of the ACC, and of course the ministry was referred to as the second corrupt institution in the country. What do you have to say with regards to that?
I think there's a little clarification that needs to be there. What he was saying is like public perception is that it's the second most corrupt institution.
Yes, and the memorandum was signed. We'd like to know what entails in the memorandum.
That's right. So again, you know, what we're looking at, if there's a public perception, we want to make sure that this is correct, this is accurate, and what should we do about it. So the memorandum of understanding focuses, as you rightly said, on trying to figure out how do we deal with fraud, how do we deal with waste, and how do we deal with abuse. And I think what we're looking at is how do we create institutional structures with internal controls that will be able to manage that, first by notifying, reminding people about what their responsibilities are in their profession, and making sure that the public is also aware of what the expectations are. And what we'll do with the ACC is to be able to make sure that within these institutions we have a way of monitoring what's going on, and at the same time engage and work with the public to make sure that they're also satisfied with what's going on. We'll make sure that we have active reporting that would look at situations that we're not sure of and bring the ACC on board to conduct investigations as necessary and prosecutions as necessary. What I think most importantly is our intent to look at prevention first.
Absolutely.
Preventing fraud, waste, and abuse. And those that don't want to comply will make sure the full law of the law will get set.
So I believe there might be certain areas that we're looking to for where, as you rightly said, is a public perception of the ministry being the second corrupt, highest corrupt, and all I would say. So were there any areas identified in your ministry that probably leading to such issue for such claims towards the ministry?
So I think what we're looking at is several domains. So first we're looking at issues around health workforce and making sure that the health workforce is supposed to be there and they're trained, they're delivering services. So what we're doing in all of these locations is to create a roster that's available so we know what nurse is in charge, which doctor is in charge, what lab person is supposed to be in charge, and we'll go there to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. At the same time, we're looking at issues around supply chain and logistics and making sure that drugs that arrive in country are accounted for and are delivered at the site where you expect them for. There's a lot of construction that's going on in facelift for the hospitals and the PHUs. We want to be sure that the contracts are done right, that it's implemented appropriately, and we track and make sure that if you're making a commitment to have a billion leones project in one location, that indeed what's been delivered is a billion leones. Just as a reminder, the government is spending 12% of GDP on healthcare. We want the public to see that 12%. I'm hoping that at the end of this exercise, every patient that goes into a hospital, even if they go in there in grief and pain, they walk out of there with a smile and say, that's my hospital, that's my doctor, that's my nurse.
Yeah, but Mr. Dambi, speaking with regards to nurses, it's not news that, there's a lot of attitude problems with nurses not attending to patients and all sort of things. Usually even sell drugs that they're not supposed to even sell, which are supposed to be even given for free. Do you have any monitoring system in your ministry to ensure that these things are being taken care of? Because even though these are complaints that have been going on for decades, but yet they're still existing and they're still, ongoing. We'd like to know what is the ministry going to do to ensure that part of the work is being tackled.
So right now we have a new hospital directorate, hospital inspections directorate that will be very, very active in visiting all of these sites and making sure that plans that we have in place are executed, that people meet the expectations. But again, I think this is a partnership between the health ministry and the public. We really want a situation where we don't expect people to ask for bribes. We don't expect people to pay for services that they're not supposed to pay for. So we'll work on our part and ensure that there are systems in place to prevent that. But we'll want the public as well to be a partner with us. If you go out there and you see a posted sign that says, your services will cost X leones, and you, in order to get a faster service, you go in and offer a bribe, you are as guilty as the person who's offering the bribe. So again, I will work on my part of it, but I'll also expect the public to work on their part. The ACC will be there as a good referee.
So does that mean there will be a complaint desk for patients to report such issues? Because as we know, of course, ministry can be everywhere, or monitoring team can be everywhere. That is very well known, like you rightly said. The citizens as well need to help in try to combat sort issues and all. But we've seen cases where if you do not really pay and all, there's no way to attend to you, and people need treatment. These things are emergency things. So what are the provisions being made for
So we'll establish a complaint desk. But what I saw we were in Kenema like a couple of days ago. What they have in front of Kenema is a big billboard that states all of the services that are provided in the hospital and the costs associated with it. So it's a public pronouncement to just say, if you come in there and you want a hernia operation, this is what it'll cost you. So there's no ambiguity about it. So the expectation is that the public knows, the providers know what to expect, and what we'll make sure is that with the ministry systems that we have in place, with the ACC's surveillance activities that's going on, we have sting operations that they do in a lot of cases. But again, we'll have an active desk that people could call into and make sure that their complaints are heard. We're also looking at not just dealing with specific issues per se, but creating the system that will address this systematically. So in these places, we're trying to either train or replace or move administrators around, administrators who really run the hospitals, for them to be a source of raising complaints or concerns to seek redress. If you don't get the redress that you want, we'll create a hotline for you to actually reach the ministry directly.
Mr. Minister, there have been several articles by PubMed and other international organizations that while bribery paid from the cradle to the grave still pervades in Sierra Leone's medical system, there have been some ambiguous mumbles among health workers that they are being underpaid, hence their involvement into corrupt activities in the health sector. Could this be true?
Well, I mean, salaries are never enough, but I think the compensation has increased considerably over the years for the health sector. The number
could that be a reason why they're involving it?
I mean, it could be, but these are never adequate reasons, and it's not an excuse either, because I think you go into this in the healthcare system, doctors and nurses go in there as a professional organization, but also an emotional service delivery organization. You take an oath of service. And I think that should be the major motivating factor. If you're going there to make money, the money is never enough.
The 2020 Afro-Barometer report states that bribery to access medical service in Sierra Leone stands tall at 53%. Now, who would you blame for this?
Well, again, I think there's, if you look at the per capita health expenditure here, it's about $64 per capita for healthcare. But again, know that this is 12% of GDP. 12%, and with this current administration, I think 3-4 years ago, it was about 7% of GDP. They raised it to 12% of GDP. And so if you combine the government's investment and you combine that with all the external partners that we have that are bringing in very, very substantial resources, we should be able to see the difference in service delivery. So in terms of blaming or explaining where this is coming from, this is my number one task. To be able to better understand it, to see what needs to be fixed, where are the gaps, to be able to fix them.
So Minister, do you have a problem of understaffing at the medical sector?
Yes, we have a major problem with that right now.
You're understaffed?
Right now we have about under 500 doctors in this country. For a country with 7.5 million people, you need 5,000 doctors. We only have less than 500. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm working with the medical school, I'm working with Professor Uri and others, because right now we're producing about 50 doctors a year, and at that pace, it will take 100 years to get to 5,000 doctors. So we're looking at other ways to expedite the process of increasing the number of doctors that we need in country. We're also looking at what some of the stopgap measures that we could work with in not only increasing the numbers, but increasing the quality and increasing subspecialty training as well, so that in these, you can't just train the basic doctors and have them stay that way, but we're creating opportunities for them to go into subspecialties like pediatrics, OBGYN, and surgery, and ophthalmology, and all the different disciplines that will enrich not only the numbers, but the quality of services provided in service.
Given the fact that you are understaffed, could you carry out effective monitoring across Sierra Leone?
Yeah, again, the staffing, you will never get enough staff to do everything that you need, but I think there are new solutions that we have in country and in place that will take full advantage of.
Like?
For example, if you have a digitization of the systems, for example, if we have the supply chain management that is digitalized such that you could sit here and see how many Panadols you have in McKinney, how many you have in Kenma, you'll be able to track what's going on. In terms of actually increasing the health workforce, when I got here, we had the Ebola outbreak. In 1 hour, we were able to create the Zoom call with all the 16 district medical offices and have a conference, an active conference, and we followed on monitoring the process over time. So there are new technologies, there are new platforms that are available to us that will increase monitoring, will increase quality, will increase training, will increase output and the service delivery.
So, you made mention of trying to engage with medicine department to get more doctors on board and all. We've had series of issues where medical students tend to drop out because of the environment is not conducive enough. As in, we've heard several complaints. We even had some medical professor who came here, and then you spoke about, lecturers making it so difficult, not making it very encouraging for the students. Don't you think that might also be something that needs to be looked into? Because if young people are being discouraged, then we'll always continue to have less doctors in the country.
Young people are our future.
Exactly.
Yeah, the young doctors are our future.
Absolutely.
I think my commitment to them and to the nation is that we will do everything to nurture them. We will do everything to support them. So one of the things I was talking to Professor Uribat and Professor Samai and Professor Folisa and others is, how do we work with the faculty to have not a change but a relook at what we do, with the focus on me being faculty means I have the responsibility of nurturing these young minds, working with them and providing them an opportunity for them to excel. It's not a neutral thing. Let's see if they do well or not. We have a commitment to monitor, to mentor, to support them, and make sure that they're able to qualify as the good doctors that we want them to be. I think we have a situation, I don't know what the latest is here, but some people take pride in the number of failures they have, number of people who don't make the exams. No, I think we should change that completely.
Yeah, it's very discouraging.
Yeah. So that the professors there will do everything. If you need extra classes, if you need extra work, if you need support, we'll work with you to make sure that you qualify. One of the things I'm also talking to Dr. Sengi about is how do we prepare students to qualify to go into medical school? How do we emphasize STEM issues such that you have the material to work with, even as you prepare to go into medical school? So it's work in progress, but I'm hearing very good vibes. I haven't heard anybody say no. What I would say is we will work with the young people here and make sure that we create the environment for them to not only do well, but to actually thrive.
Yes, because that would definitely encourage more people to enroll in the medical. But because you would see the high failure, of course, that always tend to make sure they go to a different direction.
Yes.
So yes, do you have that?
Well, we want to thank you very much indeed, Dr. Austin Denby. He's the Minister of Health and Sanitation. Thank you very much for being on. Good morning, Sierra Leone. Thank you.
No, it's lovely having you, sir. Yes.
Now, the National Water Resources Management Agency, together with stakeholders in the water sector, has validated the Water Resources Management Coordination Framework. The framework is designed to create a platform for improved coordination towards sustainable and efficient management of water resources. Well, for more on the issue this morning, we have been joined in the studio by Engineer Ken Tomi, Planning and Research and Operations Manager, National Water Resources Management Agency. Good morning, welcome.
Yeah, good morning, SLBC. Good morning, Sierra Leone.
Right, so how does the framework operate?
Yeah, first thing, let's look at what is the framework. Various sector players have been doing their own bits, their own little corners for the protection and sustainable management of our water resources. Now the agency has the mandate of protecting and managing all water resources within Sierra Leone. We thought it fit to bring all the sector players together so that we can have unity and we all can pull together so that we can manage our resources.
And that's what the framework is.
That's what the framework is all about.
How does it operate?
How does it operate? It has various sectors. One, it looks at the key stakeholders that are involved. All stakeholders within the natural resources management sector. We have the EPA, the NMA, the VRC, the district councils, the Ministry of Lands, and others. They are all there. They are divided into 3 segments. One, we have the steering committee. Within the steering committee, we have key decision makers like the ministers and others. Then the next committee, we have the general committee, comprises of some members of the steering committee and the water users themselves. Now then go down there, we have the technical committee. These are the real food soldiers. These are where the engineers are, where some of us belong, that we can really do the day-to-day management of the water resources.
So does that mean the new tariff of the 180% is also being included as a part of the framework as well?
No. That tariff belongs to Guma Valley.
Okay.
The difference between National Water Resources Management Agency and Guma Valley Company, National Water Resources Management Agency is responsible for the management of the water sources.
Okay.
Guma Valley and Salwako abstract water from these water sources, treat and supply to the public. That's the main difference here.
Engineer,
Yes, sir.
water table has drastically dropped in recent years. Do you know the reason for that?
There are several reasons that are attributed to that, over abstraction, climate change, and others. That's why this coordination framework is necessary.
So what do you think is key among those factors that are
The water table that has depleted, over abstraction, climate change, like I said earlier. We don't know the history of our water table in Sierra Leone. I will tell you that one clearly.
What is the
reason? Yeah, why?
But there is no data for there. That's why the agency this year will be mapping groundwater in one of the districts as a pilot phase to know what the real source. In 2008 or 2012, there was a pre-survey conducted by Harun University, but that report is not detailed, it's full of literature. Now we want to have a document or have an exercise that can be based on data. If we tell you within this district, your groundwater table is this and it's flowing from this end to this end, there is data to prove for it, not just literature.
So basically it's all been a blind survey going on, because that's how we refer to it as being blind.
Well, I will not say blind. You know, there are several issues, there are still several issues within the water resources management. That's why the agency was formed. The agency came in to sort out these issues.
And how far have you done in trying to tackle these issues?
That's good. Since our operationalization in 2019, we've done several aspects. One, we can now report of water volumes and water quality within certain basins of Sierra Leone, like the Rokel River Basin. We have a system there, the hydrological monitoring instruments, we call them stations to be precise, that monitors both surface and groundwater level. With that, I can sit in my office, just go to the server, and I know station 1, station 2, station 3, this is the water level at this given time. Prior to this, there was nothing like that. We also do routine water monitoring quality of the Rokel River Basin. We've done that for like 1 year consecutively, and the results are here. We know what are the issues now. Of course, we have these mining issues that is affecting our water bodies greatly. We are working towards that so that we all can pull on our strengths.
Okay, well, we'll get back to you shortly. Let's go to our other guests, okay? So, the Australia Road Authority has told newsmen, among others, that the hillside bypass road that link to the west to the eastern part of Freetown will be completed in March 2022. They made this pronouncement while giving updates on the major road project, ongoing maintenance and drainage cleaning works, as well as a public encroachment on the right-of-way. To talk more on these issues, we have in the studio is Engineer Alfred Mamadou, Director of Operations, SLR. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning, thank you.
March 2022, okay, that'll be next year, but hasn't it been long since, you've been on this project? Tell us why. Why 2022?
Yes, we think 2022 is an ideal time to complete our work, and that conclusion was based on the circumstances that we are faced with on the project. Some of these circumstances include the topography, for example. That is a very challenging terrain. The very material that you find along that road corridor, this very hard granite rock, it's not only hard, it's massive, enormous quantum. We also have, the road is also traversing a built-up area, so which means you have human beings or people there going about their day-to-day activities. So these are all impedances to, a very good progress. So these are all the factors that we've considered, and of course principally funding as well, that we've considered to come up with this sort of conclusion. And by all indications, we are pretty sure that by March, that's at the end of the first quarter next year, we should be able to let that road open to traffic.
Yes, so engineer, could there be feasibility to this your date? The date of completion of the work?
Don't quite understand.
Is this if at the date for completion quite feasible?
Oh, of course, that's just what I've explained. Yes, it is.
Couldn't it be changed along the way? You've been on this for far too long.
Oh, yeah, quite some time.
More than people could actually even remember.
Yeah, fine. We are expecting that, given the circumstances I've outlined and the plans that we've put into place, the risk analysis that we've done, we have the strongest conviction that we will complete at that time that I've stated. But of course, our work, has a lot of external factors affecting it. We are hoping to mitigate
the huge boulders you just mentioned.
Well,
or lack of equipment in general.
No, the equipment had never been a problem. I've actually talked about the challenging nature of the terrain, the human factor. For example, because of the congestion, the huge congestion on the Kisi Road and other roads that are leading into and out of the city, you realize that even though that is a very risky environment at this point, as construction is going on, the very steep hill you see, out there, you still see commuters using it to come, to work in the morning and go in the evening. So these are all part of the construction period that we are minimizing to ensure that we don't create a special or very unbearable burden on the people of this country, or more especially people of the city.
But I believe that road, access wasn't given to people, because I believe I've tried several times to use that particular road, but there's never been an access, been given. So how are people actually encroaching?
I'm not sure when you use that road, but access has always been given on a normal construction day between 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Sometimes it extends up to 9 a.m. There's access to people, and then from 4 p.m. Until 6 p.m. there's always access on normal construction day. And given the current weather now, because it's raining, it's open all day from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
But I believe people have been leaving without really passing through that road, and in order for completion to to speed up, and I believe you people should have just continued with that. People have always been using the Kisi Road and all, even due to the high traffic and all. It's part of nature now. People are used to that. So don't you think probably you should have actually given a full stop that nobody's allowed to pass there until the work is being complete? So that way they will speed fast your work, rather than allowing people to go there and then now there's an issue of completion and not being finished. And we probably don't even know what will happen when March comes, if there might be another extension of time.
Okay, so I've mentioned a number of reasons, and
yes, of course.
People using the road is even the principal reason. Okay. I've talked to you about the terrain, the odious nature of the terrain. Yes. But then on the side of people, whatever work we are doing, we have to give it a human face. We are doing these roads to lighten the burden, the transportation or traveling burden on people. So we can be doing it.
But it's slowing down the work. It's part of the challenges.
Yes, but that's not the principal. I insist, it's not the principal challenge. We could do without that.
Okay.
Right, but that's not the. I've only mentioned to you about all of the challenges, right? Yeah. So, we could rather zoom in on some other issues like the terrain. That's not the principal challenge. I stay.
Well, what's the principal? Tell us about the principal challenge.
I've told you about the terrain. To us, the terrain.
Yeah, give us details.
Of course, you are very much familiar with the area as much as almost all Freetonians or Sierra Leoneans who've gone around that area. You see the hilly nature of the place. Like I stated earlier, it's not only hilly. The geology, the rock, the nature of the igneous rock, it's huge and massive. So for us to have the roads at the appropriate level, we'll have to do a lot of drilling and blasting to ensure that we get to where we want to be. And that's not quite an easy thing. In a built-up environment, you could blast a rock and then have houses coming down. Right, the effect of that will be even more adverse than perhaps the road that we are constructing. So these are all considerations that we make. We bring the technology that could be slow, but then it gives us safer, and then it gives us what we want appropriately.
So does that mean we do have enough equipment?
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, we have enough equipment.
Right.
Okay.
Well, the program is going for a short break. We'll be right back.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to you.
I said my father of the house. Whenever I want to prepare palm soup, there's no need pounding palm fruit. All I need is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. My soup is done, and its preparation, it is not difficult at all. Nkulenu palm soup base, it's easily done with no difficulties. Just take few ladles and your soup is done. And its flavor, it's amazing. This is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. And this is Nkulenu's Ghana's original spiced palm soup base. Iron fruits and turkey berries are naturally added.
Also available brown gold natural cocoa powder, sunny gold brown sugar, meat for flour, shito, pisa and moringa. All available at Nyami Ado Enterprise, 1 Lower Waterloo Street, Freetown.
Nkulenu palm soup base.
Ghanaian original taste.
The program you're watching is Good Morning Sierra Leone. So in the studio, as we're talking with your engineer Alfred Mamadou, you made mention of using the technology where as you believe it might be the safest way to do in completion of the road. So tell us more about this technology ways.
Okay, I talked about I mean, normally what we do in such cases where we are met with such rocks, we do blasting. It could be mechanical or probably sometimes we use chemical. But what we've done in this case, we've brought special drilling equipment that will drill, holes into the concrete, into the rock, and then it's like we are using a combination of both, and then we inject some form of chemical into those holes to create some expansion, which will eventually lead to cracks, and then the rock will become easier to blast. So that's essentially what we're doing.
Okay, so you believe this might be the even though as you rightly mentioned that it might be slow, but it will of course complete and have how shall I say, have the preferred results, isn't it?
Right, I strongly have that conviction.
Okay, well we'll get back to you. Let's now go back to you, Mr. Ken Tommy. So, Mr. Ken Tommy, you made mentions of having issues, especially in the mining areas, and the other issues that you've highlighted, and you said the ongoing processes. So, what are the things being put in place to tackle these issues?
Yeah, for the pollution of rivers, we've engaged the ONS, we've engaged other MDAs, especially the NMA and the Ministry of Mines, for us to look at ways of monitoring, those operations within the river sources. One key thing is mining directly on the riverbed. There are foreign and even local companies that are dredging directly on the riverbeds. If you take a look at the Pampana the River Basin, you will see the Pampana is already gone for now. The color is bad, the quality is bad, people downstream are extremely constrained. They can't use it for their normal livelihood issues. That tells you the nature of how it is. But the ONS, sometimes this year conducted several raids. We are in several dredges we have destroyed along those basins. It's an ongoing process. It's not just a one-off process, it's an ongoing process. The President has given us the go-ahead. There was a cabinet paper some months ago for the sustainable management of all water resources nationwide, and in that cabinet paper a lot of things were clearly stated. One, there should be no mining on our river beds or the river sources. There should be no quarries in the catchment areas. There should be no pollution issues within both surface and groundwater sources. There are a lot of things there, and I think with that we are making headway.
Yeah, but there is an issue where sometimes the laws, but implementation is always an issue when it comes to action in Sierra Leone per se. So of course, like you rightly mentioned, they've given you the mandate and body, should I say the manpower to go ahead to do some certain things. So apart from engaging these people, what are the things that you actually do, physically do, as in action being taken?
First of all, for the Rukari River Basin, a few weeks back, we've tried to map the entire basin to know what are the issues with the Rukari River Basin, the land cover that has been degraded, and a lot of other things. The same thing is being done for the western area catchments. We know the issues that are surrounding the Guma water supply. We've done extensive mapping for that area as well. We are currently engaging communities within the catchment areas and doing demarcation and protection work. Like for number 2, we've completed the demarcation of the catchment, and this is the first time in history that we are constructing visible demarcation lines. We are going to construct giant columns in between them. We feed them with razor wire so people can see this green belt. Previously, the green belt was on the paper. Nobody will know. They will just say there is a green belt, there is a green belt. But now there is a pilot phase that is ongoing. Though it's a small phase, 0.5 kilometers, but it's visible. You can stand there and see the columns. You will know, okay, that's the green belt. So within this green belt, nobody, unauthorized people, are not allowed to go within our catchment areas.
But breaking the laws is a common thing, and so how do you ensure that people actually comply to these laws that are being put in place?
Yeah, water resources management has around 4 key principles. Principle 2, it talks about the participatory approach. That's what I'm bringing on board all these key stakeholders. We have the interministerial committee that is up there, which is steering all these great processes that we are embarking on. The Ministry of Lands is there, the Internal Affairs is there. So when we see these perpetrators, right, we easily hand them over to the police. The agency also is in the process of producing 4 regulations, one of which is the catchment. Is a catchment management regulation. This one tells you clearly how this catchment should be run. What are the offenses and penalties of the encroachers? Let me tell you, the catchment encroachment, especially within the western area, is a major threat to our water sources. It's a major threat. If you go to Bobo now, you will see the encroachers are less than 2 kilometers to the Guma treatment plant. It goes right across the western area. If these things are not stopped within the next 10 years or so, we will be suffering from water for Sierra Leone. And especially for these land grabbers go in, they know what they are doing is wrong. Because during our engagements with them, they do confess. Yeah, we've done bad, we've done this, it's wrong. But how could we stop this thing going forward? That's what we are doing now.
So how should you monitor to ensure it's being stopped? Because
it's an ongoing process. Yeah. The monitoring is there. We have rangers from the NPAA that are monitoring these catchment areas on a day-to-day basis. The agency has also established water management committees in 4 catchment areas right now. We have our one at number 2, Toke, Firemango, and Jonobi. These committees are made up of people that reside within the community themselves. They are responsible as well for the day-to-day management. Once there are issues that they notice, encroachment or other issues, they report directly to us and we take our action.
What action do you take?
We take them to the police.
But deforestation has been quite pervasive.
Yeah.
So it seems no one can stop them.
Yeah, you know,
Earlier there had been a video from a particular staff of Médecins Sans Frontières, of the dam at mile 91 or so, which was directly under attack from loggers around the area. And nothing seems to have been done.
Yeah, deforestation is...
You can't be everywhere.
Yeah, we are not everywhere. That's why the participatory approach in water resources management is key. We are not, for now. We have partners that are there that will monitor on our behalf.
How clean could those partners be? How clean? There are times, most of these people you station at those particular places are the very ones who are collaborating with these illegal loggers.
Yes, that's why.
So all sort of harmful, things to the environment.
Yeah, this is a change that we are reaching. This is a change that we are pushing. We are crying for. It first starts with the mind. Water resources management issues it concerns everybody here. We are all water users. Yep. So it's not only the agency all of us must be thinking, what can I do to stop this menace? What can I do to stop this encroachment? We are doing our best. NPA, EP and others are doing their best. But let's sit down as individuals, as citizens. Let's take this as a national call and protect our catchment.
You know, it is one thing to know the harmful things you're doing, but it's another for you to actually take a step to stop doing them. That brings in behavioral change communication, BCC.
Yeah, as I said earlier, you know, we have these cash management committees. We are in the headmen because in each and every community, when these encroachers are operating, there are people that are involved within those communities. That's why this cash management committee that we form, the headmen are there, all headmen within these areas. They are inclusive. The religious leaders are inclusive. The women's leader, the youth leader, and others. They are all inclusive of the of this cash management committee. And their task on a daily basis is to monitor.
What are the benefits for these headmen? What are the benefits? Because if they're not actually getting something in terms of to sustain them in survival, that leads them to connive with these people, as my colleague was saying.
Yeah.
So any provision or facility being provided for these headmen to ensure that their loyalty lies to you, I would say.
Yeah, we are currently working on a program for them. We can be giving them on this stipend, or as the case may be.
Well, that speaks clearly why the same deforestation, everything is still ongoing because they're looking. The economic is very bad. People are looking for ways to survive. Of course, that does not give them the right to do things that will harm themselves, because regardless they stay in that particular area. But not being given any provision or facility, of course, will make sure they encourage other people to come on board.
Yes, as you rightly said, that does not give them the provision to encourage the catchment. But encroachment issues is responsible by people that wants to grab land and build houses, the urbanization. That's just the baseline thing here. People want to build houses. Even within, you say there's a dam here, they want to come and construct their house within the dam. I guess part of the Takogama issue some times ago. Everywhere there are land grabbers, but the agency is pushing. We are trying. We cannot do it all by ourselves, but we are trying. That's why we're involving the community people. Hopefully by next year we'll start giving this cash management committee stipends so that they can become more and more effective.
That some of these land grabbers and all, probably, yes, land grabbers would be the right word. Some of these land grabbers and these landowners are actually being owned by high people in society. So how do you intend to fight against those type of people? Because even, I had a same issue. I won't say I had the same issue, but my family member had the same issue. And we went to different organizations, environmental organization, but nothing has been done up to date.
Yeah, this time the operations of the agency is being backed by the Ministry of Lands. We have a dynamic Ministry of Lands that is giving us the full support. We know that land issues are always clear issues, especially within the western area. And the Ministry of Lands, whenever we demarcate or we engage a community, if you say you own this portion of land, the ministry will tell you, okay, bring your paper to us. And in most of these cases, those papers are not real papers, my sister, I'm telling you. They are fake papers. They will purport that it's from the Ministry of Lands, they sign it, but when these papers are taken to the Ministry of Lands, and you see the ministry will say, no, this paper is fake. You see one person saying, I have 68 acres.
What about instances where actually the paper is actually legit and these lands, because we see a lot of people, especially I would say government officials, high people in society owning these lands, but of course the name is in different people's name, because of course you all know the reason behind it. So how do you intend to fight such people?
Well, all catchment areas are protected areas and they belong to the state, not individual people. So if you go and buy land there, that means it's at your own detriment.
But we've seen houses being built in such areas.
Houses are being built.
And people are actually living there.
It's unfortunate houses are being built. That's why the demarcation we are doing, we are demarcating areas just after the houses that have been constructed. But within the built-up areas, we will reforest the areas as well, so that you will pay like a surface rent on an annual basis.
But that is not safe enough, I would say. We can even make an instance to Lumley, but there's a bridge, there's a massive house there around the huge water channel place and all. And I believe that's a disaster-prone area. That's an area that the house is not supposed to be built. But of course, people complain and complain and complain. But yet that house is still there, untouched, and people are actually living there. And it's
there are plans to identify all these houses that are built on wetlands. The NPEE and others, they are currently working on that. The demarcation of wetlands also is ongoing by the Freetown project. We are putting plans in place to see how best we can cope with such situations.
We hope to be seeing results rather than... So this is you have...
Yes, Engineer, it seems to me that all of these things you're talking about are far-fetched plans. The reality on ground is that the environment is being dangerously endangered, and the next few years there will be no water for us to drink, talk less of utilize. Now I think you should be more or less concerned about protecting water catchment areas, given of course the drastic change we're seeing in the weather condition.
Absolutely.
There's not much rain anymore.
Yeah.
And so we cannot store water.
Yeah.
And the little we have even is being endangered by loggers, and of course anthropological activities are thriving on a daily basis.
Yeah. That's why I said
it seems you cannot handle this.
No, we can definitely. There are tangible evidences everywhere. If you go to number 2, as I said earlier, the catchment has been demarcated completely, and we are constructing protective barrier. This is
there are armed gunmen.
Well, we are planning to bring in people within this catchment, but once there is a demarcated line, and within this demarcated line you construct protective barriers, this will deter the encroachers from crossing over.
Let's be honest here. Do you really think that creating a barrier will stop people from encroaching these areas?
Yes, it will stop. Let me tell you something. The people themselves, they know what they are doing is wrong.
They know
what they are doing is wrong, and by sensitization and the type of approach that we've taken with them, extensive community engagement.
I think you should partner with the security forces now more than ever.
Yes,
it doesn't seem that advocacy is working in any way.
No, it do.
At the same time, you engage the service of the military. You station one gunman at every water catchment area.
Yeah, that's why after the protection aspect, we will be constructing a monitoring post. At this monitoring post, we'll have security. The construction of the protective barrier is currently ongoing at number 2. If you go there, you will see it's a tangible evidence. We are currently demarcating Bobo and My 13. It's a tangible evidence. Go there, ask the community people. It's a tangible evidence that we are on top of situations, even though there's encroachment ongoing, but we are doing our best. If you go to Tuke, we've engaged the communities extensively, we'll be doing demarcation there as well. If you go to...
I'll be happy to go to these places with yourself, and you will see that what you're actually bluffing for is not working.
It's not bluffing, but it's what is going on.
Okay.
These are practical and things that are going on now. If you want, we can move there today.
Well, we hope for the best. Because it's the betterment for the nation and for us all. It's quite a challenging. We know you can't be everywhere.
Yeah.
That is for sure. But of course, let's just ensure that we continue to do the best that we absolutely can. So
we can only thank you very much indeed, Engineer, for being part of the program this morning, and we surely wish you well in your drive to actually protect water catchment facilities in this area.
It's a big fight indeed.
Yes.
It's a big fight.
All right, so we cross over again to you, Engineer. Yes, Alfred. So now it seems as if the most tangible problem you're faced with now is the fact that there are residents around these areas you are indeed constructing the road. So, don't you think you should have indeed, in the first instance, try as much as possible to pay these people off from these areas so that you can carry out a smooth work than you managing the situation now?
So, the people living along the road corridor is not the most tangible obstacle.
But you cannot block the works, because there are people living nearby.
Of course,
and that's a great benefit to your work.
No, it's not as stern as you are thinking about it.
Okay.
Yes. When we are doing our designs and our plans, we have incorporated all of this. And talking about paying them, those whom we thought could be affected by our works, we are compensated.
They have been paid off,
of course, and so that's why that's why you see the road going, because where you see the road now, there are structures there. Right. Yeah. So those whom we thought, like I said, could have, I mean, were in the way, have been taken away. But however, I mean, the road is passing. It's like dividing the community. You see people on the hillside, and then those that are
on the other flank of the
right. Yeah. So they have to interact. They have to, I mean, move around. You can't stop them. I mean, you can't stop them. But again, like I said, that's not the most tangible. To me, if you were to rank them in order, the most tangible at this point is the terrain. Then we talk about resources, financial resources.
So the topography is bad, and the resources are scarce.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Resources in what sense? Money,
funds. Yeah, right. Funds.
Funds. This project.
The government of Australia is funding that project.
And for now, the money that was used to fund the project is
not sufficient.
No, I'm not saying it's not sufficient. I mean, it's not coming in as
as it's supposed to come.
Yes, exactly.
So that means there have been delays.
Yeah, a bit of delays in that. Yeah.
And what's causing the delay?
Oh, of course. I mean, the government of Australia, we are all aware of. The government of Australia has a lot of projects, not only the road sector. It's, they're dealing with the whole of the country, all sectors. So, I mean, the road is just one of those sectors. So, and then it's like what is coming in is not as much as that could serve all of the country's needs. So they have to prioritize from time to time. So basically, that's one of the reasons.
Well, that's very.
So when next will you be expecting funds to continue the project?
Funds coming, I mean, when the Ministry of Finance deems it, convenient. No, not convenience as, it's excuse me, it's for the lack of a better word. But yes, right. But when they think, they have resources, they have handled a few other issues. They also do their own prioritizations. So that's when funds come in.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Indeed, Engineer Alfred Mamodu, Director of Operations SLRA, for being on Good Morning Sierra Leone. Well, this is where we would say goodbye to you for today. The program has been quite interesting this morning. It's been my very good self, Victor Juice.
And Sonia Jafar.
But before we go, may I remind you of our quote for the day, which comes from a Welsh-American journalist, Henry Stanley, and it says, "What lies behind and what lies before are the tiny matters compared to what lies within us." The program returns tomorrow at exactly 9 a.m. in the morning. Keep watching the National Broadcasting. Goodbye.
As a mother of the house, whenever I want to prepare palm soup, there's no need pounding palm fruit. All I need is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. My soup is done, and its preparation, it is not difficult at all. Nkulenu palm soup base, it's easily done with no difficulties. Just take few ladles and your soup is done. And its flavor, it's amazing. This is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. And this is Nkulenu's Ghana's original spiced palm soup base. Iron fruit and turkey berries are naturally added.
Also available brown gold natural cocoa powder, sunny gold brown sugar, neat fufu flour, shito, pisap and moringa. All available at Nyami Ado Enterprise, 1 Lower Waterloo Street, Freetown.
Nkulenu palm soup base.
Ghanaian original taste.